Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Make sure you smash that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And I did my Republican senators tier list a few weeks back, and today I wanted to do another tier list. A lot of you guys requested that I do Republican governors, so I'll make it kind of a shorter tier list today. There's only, I believe, 28, I think, Republican governors, because that includes Northern Mariana Islands, obviously. So we are going to do this, but first I do have to tell you guys about my very good friends over at My Patriot Supply. These days, the future is still more uncertain than ever, and that's why people who know what's coming are using today to prepare. You can't wait until the last moment. By then, it's just too late. And the most important thing you need is long-term storage, emergency food. It stays fresh for up to 25 years, and it will be there whenever you need it. I strongly recommend My Patriot Supply, America's leader in self-reliance. They're the only source I use for emergency food planning, and right now you can save $50 off a 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 plus calories a day. Calories give you the energy you need to survive, and saving $50 is impossible to pass up, but supplies are limited. Order by 3 p.m. and your order ships the same day. So go to preparewithredeagle.com and stock up now. That's preparewithredeagle.com. There is no time to lose. Do it now. So, all right, guys, let's get into this Republican governors tier list. I believe it is going in alphabetical order. But I believe by first name. I guess that's how I just saved the file. But either way, we are going to do this. First up, Asa Hutchinson out of Arkansas. Awful. Just downright awful. Vetoed the bill that would have prevented men, biological men, from playing in women's sports. He's downright awful for that. Otherwise, I mean, are we going to put him in the F tier? I mean, we'll save that for the really bad culprits. But he's definitely in D tier. Bill Lee. Don't know much about him. Brad Little, banned critical race theory. It's pretty base. We'll put him up in B tier. Up next, we have Brian Kemp out of Georgia. He is downright awful. The post-election mess was just bungled by him. The reason why I'm going to put him in D tier is because he's actually signing base legislation because he is trying to win his primary. And even though we know he's just fronting, at least he's doing something, and he is useful for something, so we'll put him up in the D tier. Charlie Baker. Charlie Baker is downright awful. Charlie Baker is essentially arguably just as left-wing as Joe Biden, yet he is apparently a Republican and the governor of Massachusetts. You're not going to get very much out of Massachusetts, but even compared to him, Mitt Romney was a pretty solid governor of Massachusetts compared to Charlie Baker. That's how far to the left that Charlie Baker is. And while we're at it, why don't we just put Larry Hogan in the F tier as well? This is like the authentic rhino tier, like actual full-on rhinos on pretty much every issue. I think Hogan is probably slightly less of a rhino than Baker, but Phil Scott is probably to the left of Joe Biden on most issues. We're going to put him in the F tier. Chris Sununu, he on some issues is a little wishy-washy, but he's fairly good for New Hampshire, and he is well-loved within not just the pro-Trump constituency there, but just New Hampshire as a whole. We're going to put him up in the C tier because of it. He's reviving the New Hampshire GOP. Doug Ducey, this guy is awful. I mean, the guy literally was CEO of Cold Stone Creamery. And who the hell goes to Cold Stone Creamery willingly? I mean, you go there if you're saying, hey, I want ice cream, but there's no other ice cream places by where I'm at, so I'm just going to go to Cold Stone. Yeah, that's who goes in there. So besides that, he's been weak on the Second Amendment. He's proposed, if not passed, some red flag type of legislation. He's just awful. We're going to put him in the D tier. Doug Burgum out of North Dakota, I don't know much about him, so I guess we'll put him in the C. Greg Abbott is a virtue signaler to the left on many issues. He's expanded big tech jobs in the state of Texas, which has caused a lot of people to move in that are moving the state to the left. He also has virtue signaled about Gab. He called Gab an anti-Semitic platform. Despite the fact that it's just an open speech platform, there is anti-Semitism on Facebook, Twitter, pretty much every platform. The problem that he's going after Gab is because he's in bed with the big tech companies and he wants to silence any and all competitors that affect his donor money. Rolf Torres out of Northern Mariana Islands. It's pretty base that there's a Republican governor so far away. I don't know anything about this guy, but just because of that alone, he belongs in the A tier. Greg Gianforte, pretty solid governor. Like, he had some scandals in the past, but overall, a lot of people do seem to like him in Montana enough to the point where he's actually, like, becoming an electoral juggernaut in the state. It's very, very interesting. Henry Mcmaster out of South Carolina, actually really, really good for South Carolina, which means he probably belongs in the C tier. Just everybody else. Nikki Haley, Mark Sanford, Tom Rice, Tim Scott, Lindsey Graham, just downright awful. South Carolina's GOP is in shambles, and Lynn Wood apparently might be running it in the near future. God help us. Eric Holcomb out of Indiana. This guy's a mess. This guy's a mess with his lockdowns. Just an all-around rhino. Jim Justice out of the state of West Virginia. He's actually pretty solid from what I've seen. He switched parties. He was a Blue Dog Democrat. Now he switched over to being a Republican. Still fairly popular in the party. Jim Justice is pretty solid. Kay Ivey, she's putting Alabama on the map. I really haven't seen too much from her that's, extremely positive or negative, but you talk about Alabama. Alabama, economically speaking, it's climbing up slowly, and she's overseeing part of that. Obviously, if you look at Mississippi and Alabama, they were previously seen as two in the same, but Alabama's actually seen a lot of positive development as of late, and I think that Kay Ivey might get a little bit of credit for that, so we'll put her up there. Kevin Stitt out of Oklahoma. He was kind of based early on with, the lockdown stuff, but then I think he kind of caved in a little bit from my understanding. We'll put him down in the C tier. Kim Reynolds out of Iowa, don't know much about her either. We'll also put her in the C tier. Christy Noem, she's awful. She really is. Oh, she kept her state open. Okay, it's South Dakota. 20 people live there. Come on, guys. We'll probably put her in the D tier because she caves on every other issue. Wanted mass immigration to South Dakota. She vetoed the bill. She caved into her donors. And that's a very weak sign of a politician. We're going to put her in D tier. Mark Gordon out of Wyoming. I don't know much about this guy. We'll put him in C tier. Mike Dewine out of Ohio. This guy's awful. He's a rhino. He loves lockdowns. He is Whitmer South, and he has an R next to his name, which is just downright awful. We'll put him in the F tier. Mike Dunlavy. I don't know much about this guy. We'll, again, put him up in the C tier, which is really where the unknowns go. Mike Parson out of Missouri. Again, don't know much about him. We'll put him in the C tier. Pete Ricketts out of Nebraska. Also don't know much about him. I believe he won re-election by a sizable margin, but other than that, I don't know. Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis, you know where he's going. He's going in the S tier. This guy is Trump's successor. This guy is based. He's epic. He's effective, and people love him. He's going to win re-election by 10 to 15 points. I mean, how can you hate Ron DeSantis? The detractors like to twist the statistics to make him look as bad as possible, even though they're being super intellectually dishonest. They call him Ron DeathSantis, but they don't realize, that's a badass nickname. That's kind of based. Do you think you're owning him by calling him that? It's you guys are just ultimately the utmost cringe people. The DeSantis derangement syndrome individuals. They are just insane. These people have lost their minds because they know that he's basically Trump 2.0. But he's arguably more effective in terms of the attacks that you can levy at Trump will just bounce off of him because they don't sit as well. And that could make him an electoral juggernaut nationwide. And that's really the reason why a lot of these people are super scared of Ron DeSantis is because they know this deep down. They know it, but they're unwilling to admit it. Spencer Cox. This guy literally said that it's not racist for the Utah Jazz to have a scholarship program that excludes white individuals. That alone is going to knock him down to D to F tier because he thinks it's fine. He thinks it's okay to be racist to white individuals. But the thing that's going to keep him out of F tier is that he actually signed some anti-pornography legislation that was pretty comprehensive, and that's actually pretty based and sets a good precedent in terms of the opposition to glorified degeneracy in our country. Up next, we have Tate Reeves out of Mississippi. Again, this guy changed the flag of Mississippi because he caved to social pressure. Although, in all fairness, I think that the new flag is probably better looking than the old flag. Although I disagree with the notion of changing it due to caving for social pressure. If you want to get technical, there's so many flags in the South that are vaguely inspired by the actual Confederate flag, like Georgia, except a lot of history has been memory hold. The Confederate flag that people think of, the stars and bars nowadays, was actually never used by the Confederacy. So I think it's kind of dumb for him to change the flag, but I have to admit the new flag actually does look pretty nice. I don't really have anything against Tate Reeves other than that. We'll put him down in the D tier because I think he kind of caved into the mob a little bit, and he probably shouldn't have changed the flag because of social pressure. But I kind of like the new flag, though. Other than that, this is my governorship tier list. I mean, it's a little bit sarcastic, but it's like 95% serious in terms of this video. Obviously, I don't know anything about Ralph Torres. I'm too lazy to look anything up about him. But this is the tier list. Ron DeSantis, Big Ron, Refrigerator Ron up in S tier. Let's go! All right, but other than that, guys, take a good look at it. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description below. As always, guys, thanks for watching this video. Red Eagle, out.